I am sure you have heard by now about Google getting sued. The U.S. Justice Department and a coalition of state attorney generals have sued Google for abusing its dominance to illegally maintaining a monopoly in the search engine market. The outcome of this case can be quite significant if Google loses. This is because it might not just be a monetary penalty, but can also involve Google splitting up into several companies. Also, not just Google will be affected, as this might set a precedence for all big tech companies in general, potentially leading to more landmark cases and breakups. The idea of Google finally being held accountable has made the internet quite happy, because to be honest, Google clearly has a monopoly on search engines. More than 90% of all searches are done on Google Search. If you cannot call this a monopoly, then I don't know what can be called a monopoly. Though this looks gloomy for Google, this might turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to them. Here is the thing, whether we believe that Google has a monopoly on search engines or not does not matter. The only thing that matters is if this argument is held up in court. And the truth is that Google has a better chance of disproving this in court than they have with the court of public opinion. As Google's attorneys say, it's easy to switch your default search engine. We're long past the era of dial-up internet and CD-ROMs. Although Google might have struck deals with companies like Apple to use Google as their default search engine, you still have the ability to change the default search engine to any one of your choice on most browsers. Even Google's own browser, Chrome, provides this capability. Essentially, Google is making the argument that people use Google because they want to, and not because they have to. With all that being said, I am sure Google would have preferred for this case never to come up in the first place. But then again, they probably knew it was inevitable, and now they can use it to their advantage. Here's the thing. If Google comes out on top in this case, no prosecutor will come after them in the next 20 to 30 years, allowing them to continue operating the same way they do without any fear of legal repercussions. You are not sure about that? Then join me as we look at a previous landmark case that proves this can easily benefit Google in the long run. The case in question is that of United States versus Microsoft in 1998. This trial centered around claims that Microsoft illegally grouped its various products together in a way that both stifled competition and compelled people to use its products. The DOJ's intended outcome was for Microsoft to split into two companies, one that sells operating systems and one that sells other software like Microsoft Office, Internet Explorer, MSN Messenger, and so on. The roots of this case date back to the mid-90s, when the internet was starting to become popular. The most popular browser at the time was Netscape Navigator. In fact, Netscape was a monopoly itself, as 90% of people used it as their browser. Well, Microsoft did not like that at all. As you might have noticed, these companies only like it when they themselves are the monopoly. Microsoft then decided to try and actively compete with Netscape by launching Internet Explorer in August of 1995. Developing the browser will not be an issue for Microsoft given how many resources they had, but the main question was, how are they going to get people to switch to using Internet Explorer? Well, Microsoft already had a great plan to go about this. Microsoft Windows operating system was already being used by everyone. They can just bundle Internet Explorer and ship it as part of Windows, giving it a massive boost straight out of the box. Though this sounded like a great plan, there was one fatal flaw with it. It was illegal. This was not the first time Microsoft implemented this strategy. The DOJ had already seen them do it with Office, and they had since put a deal preventing Microsoft to ever do it again. This deal had one caveat though. Microsoft cannot bundle in products, but they can bundle in features in Windows. As such, Microsoft just decided to call IE a feature to work around this. I mean, it is obvious to any reasonable person that IE is a product, but yet Microsoft decided to test the lines on this one and just call it a feature. Well, Microsoft had to find out the hard way that everyone could see through this, because on May 18th, 1998, the DOJ and 20 states would file an antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft, just like what we are seeing right now with Google. The case dragged on for 2 years and finally ended with a loss for Microsoft. In June of 2000, Microsoft was officially ordered to split up into two companies. Everyone thought this was the end of it. Microsoft would split up and end their monopoly. But this took an unexpected turn no one was expecting. Microsoft appealed to the Supreme Court, and they ended up reversing this decision over a legal technicality. You see, the judge that was presiding over this case had made regular statements to the media because the public had a lot of interest in the case. Microsoft's attorneys argued that based on these statements, he was biased against Microsoft. The Supreme Court would rule that the judge's findings were all well and good, but due to apparent bias, his final ruling was not. And as such, Microsoft would be allowed to settle. To make this clearer, the DOJ had successfully proven in court that Microsoft is a monopoly, but Microsoft could still not be broken up because of a legal technicality no one cared about, even Microsoft themselves. It was just a loophole they used to save themselves. Fast forward to today, which makes it 23 years since this ruling, Microsoft is bigger than ever. And not only that, they are also still bundling Edge with new versions of Windows. So bringing it back to Google, just because this massive case is filed against them does not really mean much. From what we learned in the Microsoft case, a judge could point-blank rule that Google should be broken up, but it still ends up going the order way. At the end of the day, Google is a trillion-dollar corporation, and you can bet they will show up to court with the best of lawyers. Not only are they skilled, but they are also highly incentivized to win. Federal prosecutors are paid at best $183,000, so winning has more to do with principle and justice rather than monetary gain. Google's lawyers, on the other hand, are literally paid tens of millions, and it is definitely certain they will receive $100 million bonuses if they can get Google out of this skate-free. As seen in history, to break up a company is very difficult. Who knows what Google's lawyers will uncover that will prevent them from being broken up, even if it is clearly proven in court that it is a monopoly. Moreover, even if Google gets broken up, most of its investors like Larry Page and Sergey Brin will just own parts of these multiple companies, and each of them might even grow much larger than Google would have. The truth is that in a free market, most monopolies are monopolies for a reason. Their products are usually highly indispensable to consumers. Even if all browsers decide not to use Google Search as their default search engine, most users will still set it up as that, or just go to google.com to carry out their search. Whether you like Google or not, it does not change the fact that right now they have the best search engine, which is the reason why most people prefer it over other alternatives. The only way to really break a monopoly is to offer better or revolutionary alternatives, which will cause a drastic market shift. We can see a shift starting to occur, though, as the search traffic of Bing has increased by 15%. This is not because of any litigation, but because of the AI revolution, GPT 3.5, that Microsoft incorporated into Bing. Check out this video to learn more about the AI revolution we are currently experiencing and how it will impact the job market. Do you believe Google will win or lose this case? Leave a comment below so we can know your thoughts on this case. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you are not already to continue receiving intriguing tech stories. Until next time.